Hey, good morning, Choice Residential. Hope your day's off to a great start. So today I want to talk about how the due diligence date and the earnest money deposit are related to each other. So first, think of the due diligence date primarily as the date in which earnest money becomes non-refundable. The due diligence date, in fact, does not have anything to do with the timeline in which the buyers are allowed to have inspections or investigate the property. They have the contractual right to investigate the property all the way up through closing. But because the earnest money becomes non-refundable at the end of the due diligence period at 5 p.m., that's why that date is relevant to trying to negotiate repairs, because a buyer needs to feel comfortable moving past the due diligence date with the repairs that the seller has agreed to. Otherwise, if they decided to terminate the contract later, their earnest money would not be refunded. And so they need to consider that potential loss of additional deposit money in their decision to move forward beyond the due diligence date. However, when there is no earnest money in the contract, you could argue that there in fact is no need for a due diligence date. Now, I realize that creates some heartburn with some agents out there, maybe some of you listening to this right now. But if there's no earnest money that is going to become non-refundable at the end of the due diligence period, you could actually have no due diligence period where you just simply NA that part of the contract. Now, doing so sometimes could trigger a listing agent and therefore the seller to think that they have no obligation to enter into any repair negotiations, which, by the way, is always true. A seller is not obligated to enter into or entertain any repair negotiations. But they do have to allow for the buyer to investigate the property, even if there's no due diligence period. So if you ever encounter a listing agent that is perhaps trying to block access to the home for some type of inspection because the due diligence period has ended, please let me know and we will try to guide them gently on the right track of what that really means. But just keep in mind, if you're trying to figure out a way that you can make your offer appear stronger, when in multiple offer situations, if all of the deposit money is as a due diligence fee and not as earnest money, if there's no earnest money, you could then in fact just simply not put a due diligence date in there and put an NA as in not applicable. And that may make the seller and or listing agent feel like the offer is stronger, when in reality there is no contractual difference. If you ever have questions about this or are in a situation or getting pushback from the agent on the other side of the transaction because they may misunderstand how these dates and deposits work together, simply let me know and we will talk through it. As always, if you need anything, I'm just a phone call away. Take care.